Hi everybody. Before we get started with today's clue, I thought I'd come to you with a little bit of a disappointing update about my whole teeth adventure. Y'all, I am not good in the waiting. Do you know what I'm saying? And I've been working on that for a really long time. Especially if I was looking forward to something for a while and it doesn't happen and I have to wait longer. I'm not good in that waiting. And that's been something I've always struggled with. And so maybe this is a test, y'all. But I went to have my teeth done, right, on the 11th. And I felt fine. I always feel fine for the most part. I mean, generally, I feel fine, right? I mean, but I went to have my teeth done, y'all, and they called me back there, and they got me all hooked up, and they got the IV in. They had the thing in the nose, and my blood pressure was too high. And it was so high that he called it a hypertension crisis. My blood pressure was 210 over 112. I think that's what it was. And so he gave me some anxiety medicine in my IV, hoping that that would bring it down. And it did, in the 190 range, right? The top number was 190. I don't know what the bottom number was. I was kind of out of it a little bit at that point. And the next thing I know, Harlan's in the room, and he's saying that she really needs to go to the doctor, like today. And we're not gonna pull her teeth. So I'm in the waiting, y'all. I went to the doctor. My blood pressure had gone down to 160 when I was there, and now I'm on blood pressure medicine. And I bought decaffeinated tea for the first time in my entire life this morning. Yesterday I ate a ton of beets, which is fine with me. I love beets, but I am on this big kick because I don't like being told I can't do something, right? Even if it's probably for my own good. I don't like being told no. So now I'm on a mission to lower this blood pressure. I'm even trying a whole grain, multi-grain bread from scratch today. For the very first time. I'll let you know how it goes. I have a bread video coming up in just a few days, maybe early next week. So keep your eyes out for that. But I'm in limbo. I'm waiting to see what has to happen now. I'm waiting to hear from the oral surgeon, and I'm waiting to hear from my doctor. And in the meantime, I'm taking a blood pressure medicine and doing all the things that I can do myself to lower that blood pressure. Getting old is for the birds, and I am by no means old, okay? But getting older is for the birds. I never had to worry about my blood pressure. It was never an issue. I could stand to lose a good 20 pounds, right? I know that. I'll work on that. And I'll work on decreasing my caffeine intake for the first time in my life, and make some additional lifestyle changes, right? I know I need to work on my stress when it comes to work. I know that's probably a lot of it. But let me just tell you, if you're sitting there in the dentist chair, knowing what's about to happen, having all of your teeth removed, don't you think your blood pressure would be high too? I know that's not all of it. So I'm going to work on what I need to work on. In the meantime, I've already pre-recorded all the clues. I'm just going to show them. But I have some weekly updates along the way. I have other videos that are going to be coming out, and I will just mosey along, and I'll keep you updated on that. So it's not a no, it's a wait, and who knows when we're doing it. It's the waiting part. Anyways, that's my update, and I just want to thank y'all for everybody reaching out to me, asking me how I'm doing. I am absolutely fine. Like, sometimes my eye twitches. That's probably stress, right? I am absolutely fine. Harlan says he's noticed my blood pressure. You know, he takes his blood pressure and I'll say, oh, let me do mine. Mine has been high for some time, according to Harlan. So this is something that I've needed to address anyway for some time, right? So we're going to work on it. And I just want to thank y'all all for being so loving and reaching out to me. I feel so special. Thank you so much. And I am absolutely fine. My mom's doing great. She had hers done. And she's doing great. And yeah, I guess I'll go back to work. And let's go ahead and get started with today's clues. I have some fun weekly updates for you. We've been busy in the garden. Hopefully that exercise will get my blood moving around, maybe drop a couple pounds, and we'll see what happens. Let's get started with today's video. Since we met last week, I released this video, the double star quilt block done 2 different ways, raw edge applique, and for the first time on my channel, English paper piecing. Go check that out, it's so much fun. We celebrated Harlan's birthday, y'all. Happy birthday, Harlan. This is my chocolate cake with a homemade cream cheese icing. It was fantastic, it was so good. I've also recorded the bread video, making the bread 2 different ways. So keep your eye out for that. Doesn't that look so good? Preparing for my dental surgery, y'all. I made so much pasta because I thought, you know, after the first few days, this might be easy to eat in a soup, right? I made so much homemade pasta, y'all. And this is me drying it out, pardon the flour, all over the shelves. It was getting late and I was getting tired, but look at all of that pasta. That's gonna be delicious. We've started getting a ton of yellow squash and zucchini out of the garden. And isn't that just beautiful? Doesn't that just look like a whole ray of sunshine right there, right? Absolutely delicious. And for the meal before the night of our surgery, y'all, I made us homemade little chicken pot pies. Look at the little chick on top of those pot pies. I really outdid myself on that one. That was delicious. And then yesterday, I went out and harvested my dill because before I knew it, it was starting to go to seed. And I was like, I better get that out. But y'all just take a quick glimpse of our garden. He is so proud. Look at him. He is just as happy as he can be. So I picked the dill and I have stored that some in the freezer and I'm drying some out. So I can't wait to make some pickles with that, right? Or some roasted potatoes, red potatoes with dill. This is our our very first potato harvest. Look at the smile on his face. He is just having so much fun. And because of my blood pressure, y'all, last night we had roasted beets and they were delicious. Let's go ahead and get started with this week's clue. Hi everybody, welcome back to my house. I'm Lisa with the Quiltmaker Homestead. Today we're doing clue number 15 of the paper pieced mystery quilt Sundae Stars. This quilt is so pretty. I hope you're having so much fun. And I just want to thank you for following along, even if you're not making this quilt. Today I have some information to give to you. I don't know if you saw last week's video and the little announcement that started before clue number 14. Today I'm going to share a process that hopefully eases your mind and makes the most use from the fabric that you have left. Okay, let's come on down to the pressing board. I have a little bit of a mess here. I have my pieces that we're going to piece with you. This week I have again attached this page. It's the same that you might have downloaded in clue number 14, right? I've attached it to clue number 15 because this week we're actually using light pink fabric in our clue, right? And I went through all of this last week. Predominantly we are good on all of our fabric because I've used far less than what EQ8 informed us that we needed for this quilt, right? Except for the light pink, and we're using some this week. And so I wanted to go through I don't know if you have assessed at this point how much light pink fabric you have, but let me just tell you, starting this week and moving forward, if you were to cut every strip that the instruction PDF tells you to cut, right? When I give you this measurement down here and how many strips to cut, if you follow these instructions and you don't use any leftovers whatsoever, at this point, you need 1 yard and 12 inches of whatever fabric you have used for the light pink fabric. Now, I have not changed, moving forward, the size of the strips, nor have I changed the size of the templates. Let me go to that page. Like, this is the template we're using for the light pink. It still has the 1/2 inch extra space all the way around. Okay? If you assess how much fabric you have and you want to cut strips, that's the reason I have not changed this template at all. But if you have assessed what you have left and you're worried that you're not going to have enough, I'm going to show you a quick way to reduce the amount of fabric on your strip. Okay, and so each week that we're doing light pink fabric, I'm going to give you another number in addition to what is printed on the instructions. Okay, if you want to reduce the size of this template, you're going to take yourself a ruler, right? And the 1/4 inch mark on your ruler, minus that little dotted line right there. You're going to line that up to the solid inside line, and you're going to make new lines before you even cut this template out, right? Let's go ahead and just do that for this one particular template here. It's going to give you a 1/4 inch of extra fabric for this piece. Now, if you have experience, well, at this point you have plenty of experience if you're making this quilt and paper piecing, right? I kind of like the extra wiggle room of the full 1/2 inch on the templates. But if you go through and you make yourself new lines to cut out your template, you've reduced the wideness that you need to cut your strip. Okay, so let's remeasure this template. So this week the instructions say to cut from the light pink fabric, cut 2 strips at 4 1/4 inches wide, and from those strips you're going to cut out 12 pieces. If you are needing to save this fabric and make it stretch longer, let's remeasure this template, okay? From the tip, the new tip, right? I get confused with this particular ruler. You can now cut your strip at 3 1/2 inches wide, okay? So we've gone, and I just forgot what I told you. So you can change this from 4 1/4 to 3 1/2 inches wide. That's going to save a little bit of fabric right there, right? But also know that you've also you might also fit more pieces on one strip, so you might not need to cut 2 strips. Measure it out on your strip and see if you can get all 12 pieces on one strip, and that might save you fabric as well. Okay, yeah, we're going to try and get the most out of the fabric for those who are a little bit concerned that they're not going to have enough, and that makes a drastic change, right? We've gone from 4 1/4 inches right there down to 3 1/2 inches. See that? That's going to stretch it out a little bit further. So if you're worried, make that change. I'm not going to make it on the PDF because you might not need to do this, right? This is only if you are concerned with how much fabric you have left. And don't just automatically cut 2 strips at 3.5 inches. Cut 1 and see if you can't get all 12 pieces from 1 strip, because that's going to save you another 3.5 inches, right? All of this stems because, and I'm hoping it's unnecessary, because I was not cutting from leftovers so that I could measure all this information out and give you strip counts. I might be stressing out for no reason, and I really hope so, right? So there's that change if you want to reduce how wide you're cutting your strips. And that's how to alter your templates if you need to make them smaller. Okay, so this week we are making 2 different units, right? We're making this flying geese unit. You're going to have 12 of these big units, and you're going to have 24 of those pesky sashing units. They're back this week, right? We're making 24. We're not going to go through paper piecing this because you know what to do with this unit, right? You know what to do with that. But we will go through and paper piece this together, and we'll do that here in just a second. I want to come back to this screen so I can show you the progress of our quilt, because she is gorgeous, right? She is so pretty. Let's pull her up on the screen. There we go. The gray space is getting less and less each week. And the amount that I'm behind is building up faster and faster, especially since I'm pre-recording these videos. But it's all good, because I think I'm going to have a little bit of downtime. I'm going to have a little bit of downtime in my recovery, and I think after a few days I'll at least feel like sitting at the sewing machine and sewing some, right? I think so. And all these recorded videos, they'll all be done, so that's time in my week that I can catch up, so that when I do come back in real time with you to start assembling all of these clues, I'll be caught up. That's my hope, right? Okay, so there's the progress, and let me just pull a close-up on the screen of the pieces we're doing, right? This is the flying geese unit and where it's going to go in this particular star block, right? Now, you could sew it to that inner star block with the little brown squares on it, right? That inside block that's all done. You could attach this unit, but at this point, I'm not attaching anything. I'm going to, from here on out, I'm going to do the clues, and then we're going to start building the blocks once all the clues are done. If you're confident enough, you could go ahead and attach that unit if you want. So that's the flying geese unit we're doing, and then this is where the sashing piece is going, in that row of sashing right there, right? And again, if you wanted to, because you have plenty of experience in assembling the other completed sashing unit, right? You could start sewing these sashing pieces together if you have nothing else to do, right? If you just love this quilt so much and you fly through the clues and you're looking for something to do, you could start doing that, right? You could. Okay, so let's go ahead and come down here. I'm going to pull up the screen of the sewing machine and the cutting board. We're going to go ahead and piece together this unit, and yeah, let's go do that. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with this unit. We're going to flip this over and glue in the rascally light pink fabric. You have no idea just how heartsick I am. I am just sick over this light pink fabric. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right, so we have that in place. We're going to come over here I guess it really doesn't so much matter which order you sew the next two pieces on, right? But we'll start over here where it says number 2. If I can get these fabrics apart. Now the long side of the triangle, let's come up here. The long side of the triangle is going to go right along the edge of the inside triangle, right? Y'all know this, we've done it so many times at this point. We're gonna flip that right on over, and we're gonna bring this over to the sewing machine. Now I just wanna say, if you have decreased the size of your B template, right, for the light pink fabric, you're gonna have far less wiggle room, okay? And I think traditionally when patterns give you templates to pre-cut your fabrics for paper piecing, I think traditionally they give you 1/4 of an inch, which is what you have if you have decreased the size of your template like I showed you at the beginning today, okay? There's less wiggle room, which means you're gonna have less fabric up here, you're gonna have a less fabric down here, and you're gonna have far less fabric on these sewing lines. And so if you don't have a light pad, you might want to use a window so that you can place the fabrics more accurately to make sure that they're going to cover the entire space, right? We have so much wiggle room using a whole 1/2 inch, okay? So if you reduce the size of that template to squeeze the most out of this fabric, be watchful of where you're placing your fabrics, right? See how I have way much more fabric over here than I do over here. You can see that, right? I have quite a bit here and about equally as much up here. You're gonna have less. So just pay attention to that, okay? All right, so let's come back over here. I'm gonna flip this over. And we're gonna sew this first seam. Ouch. Okay, we're gonna come over here, flip that, cut this, and press that. Now we're going to come back over here and we're going to add the third piece for this unit. Again, that long side of the triangle. And we're flipping. This unit comes together pretty quickly, doesn't it? Okay, let's go ahead and glue this one in place. And let me clean up my little scraps. I think just to avoid switching back and forth, I'm just going to rotate this mat. And I'm going to square it up right here since I can't seem to stop turning the piece anyway. let's go ahead and square this unit up. I think that rotating mat will come in really handy squaring up traditional quilt blocks, don't you? All right, so there's all my trimmings. When I see this, I can't help but think, oh, the waste of the pink fabric. Oh gosh. Okay, so there is our finished unit, the flying geese unit, the bigger unit for this week. You're gonna have 12 of them, right? Let me just double check that. Yes, 12 big units and 24 sashing units. Isn't that so pretty? All right, y'all. Again, this is information from last week. I just attached it to this week because it is relevant this week, right? We are using the light pink fabric in clue number 15. We'll also be using it in clue number 16, 18, 19, and 21. And so I can't help but think that we might save quite a bit of fabric, reducing the size of the templates in those clues as well. Okay, that's my thought. And if you have any leftover scraps and you can cut pieces out using those scraps, absolutely do it. Okay, and yeah, I hope you have so much fun with this particular unit. I feel like this week might be a little bit shorter, but it'll give you more sewing time, right? Okay, everybody, have fun with this. Please continue to share your progress no matter what stage you're in on the Creative Crew. We want to see what you're doing. Okay? Bye, everybody.